Yeah.
Anyway, so what I'd like to end the podcast on is the most iconic characters in pop culture from the Askewniverse are, of course, Jay and Silent Bob. Like,
Yeah.
they're just two stoners, two drug dealer guys that are just out there hanging out the whole time, and they just happen to get themselves in a wacky situation just by being themselves and
Hmm.
just, having these crazy road stories, which, I mean, if you've ever met or talked to a drug dealer, they have very interesting lives based on the
Yeah.
business that they're in.
Yeah.
So, like, while I don't condone selling drugs, and I don't think anybody should, because there's only a couple of ways out of that,
Yeah.
and none of them are safe ways to get out of that
Well,
lifestyle.
let's just say if you plan on, retiring and living a healthy elderly life, don't get into a life of
Yes,
crime.
yeah, don't become a drug dealer. It's not it's bad. It's bad
Yeah.
for you. It will, and you're not really gonna. You probably won't live long enough to see your grandchildren.
No.
You might have a few kids, but you're not going to end up seeing. You might not. You're not going to see them grow up for very long.
Right.
Um, your only way out's in a box, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's not it's not a good career path.
No.
It's lucrative, but it's not a good kind of lucrative. I'd prefer my money without blood in it, but not everybody does.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way. But if you've ever talked to one, they have some pretty crazy stories. I will say that. And if you've ever been one, then you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But Jay and Silent Bob, they're two like stoners that just hang out in front of the Quick Check or everywhere pretty much because
No, quick stop.
Quick Stop. I'm sorry. Quick Check is Quick Check is is a real place. So is Quick
Yeah.
Stop.
Well, quick stop is
Quick
a real
Stop
place
it
too.
is a real place.
I've been to quick stop.
I have not. I want to go on a Clerks tour when we get out of this pandemic,
It's not
or a View Askewniverse
really
tour,
that great.
Really. No, I'm
The
sure
real
it's not.
quick stop is not that great.
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure you could just simply you drive in the parking lot, you take a picture of the store, and then you leave, and that's pretty much it. It's not like when you're doing a Ghostbusters tour and you got to
Right.
go to the firehouse and then you go to the and then you go to Central Park and all that other stuff.
No.
It's much more boring for the most
But
part.
A good thing about quick stop is that it's about 20 minutes away from Jane Silent Bob's secret stash, so
Well, that's
you can
good.
at least take a stop there too.
That's what I was gonna say. You go to the secret stash to like wrap
Yeah.
up the trip.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say was Jay and Silent Bob are the two most iconic characters from Clerks and from the View Askewniverse in general, and they're the two most famous IPs that Kevin Smith has created. Kevin Smith, of course, playing Silent Bob in all of them.
Right.
Um,
And his best friend Jason Mewes playing Jay.
yes, which they've gone on to do, countless projects together, and
Yeah.
Jason Mewes, like, he's had some struggles of his own. He's had, but like, they're two guys that were not necessarily that, by all intents and purposes, from the natural order, the odds were not in their favor to make it even less than most of us. Like they were just poor and middle class kids, or poor and working class kids from New Jersey. They're not supposed to like according to those stats alone, they're already not supposed to be these rich and famous people, but they are.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful, and it shows you that upward mobility. You have to it. It's not guaranteed, but it can happen if you just take the risk.
Yeah.
If you take the risk and you play and you play your cards right with the hands that you're dealt, and luck ends up turning out in your favor, you have a shot in this world.
Yeah.
It's hard. And there's a good chance that it might not happen.
Takes work and dedication,
happen.
clearly, because again, Kevin Smith pretty much worked like 20 to 23 hours a day when he made Clerks,
right,
to make it happen,
right. And how many people
and put in like everything that he had, all
right.
the money he possibly had, and made it,
and other people's money too,
right? Yeah,
like he surrounded himself with people that believed in him.
Yep. And if it didn't work, he would have been in debt for fucking the rest of his life, probably.
Oh yeah. But it worked, and he got really lucky. But I wanted to point this. The point that I was trying to make is that I wanted to just say how like Jay and Silent Bob is just kind of had such a huge impact on pop culture in general. Mm-hmm. Like there's like how many stoners have they influenced? I mean, also they're realistic to like stoners and drug dealers. Like,
yes,
like stoners and drug dealers are not like they're not like a Spicoli kind of thing, from like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which was Sean Penn's breakout role, and also helped popularize Vans in the 70s. Was Fast Times 70s or early 80s?
It was the 80s.
Okay, early 80s then. So like it's like where like Spicoli was like, oh, that's how stoners are. That's how that's how people in California are. That's how stoners are. Okay, everyone's like, a hippy dippy guy. Where like Jay and Silent Bob were like much more realistic. They were just, they were just dudes that hung out on the corner and tried to like just sell drugs to people. That was it.
Yeah.
And that was it. Nothing more simplistic than that, which that's how it is, essentially. If you've ever met a drug dealer, you would like that's like if they weren't drug dealers, you'd probably want to hang out with them. But because they're drug dealers, you're like, all right, like cool, I gotta go. Or if you're looking to pick something up, all right, fine, just give me what you got, I'm gonna go. I don't want to get pinched.
Yeah.
But also, like, their attitude, like, they weren't going to take shit either.
Yeah.
So, like, very much, they were putting on a hustle, and they were what they were, and they, like,
the whole plot of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is them being pissed off that people are talking bad about them on the internet and driving across country to stop a film about them.
Right.
Because people talk bad about them for the only sole fact that people talk bad about them on the internet because of the film.
Right.
So
and then when they get their money, like they blow it on visiting every single person that ever like talked bad about them's house
and beating the crap out of them. Yeah.
Which is great.
Yes.
Like honestly, I think that's what needs to happen to a lot of these people on like who are like trying to cancel people.
Even after they're rich, they go right back to dealing in front of the store. Well, they go back to movies when, because the store burns down.
Right. But, like, they don't care, and they, like, again, they know where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is the back of a convenience store selling drugs. I think that's what I think what they ended up doing at the end of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back needs to happen to a lot of these like cancer culture people. I'm sorry, cancel culture, which
just beat up a bunch of cancer patients.
No, that's terrible. Don't ever do that.
That's messed up.
that's terrible.
Now we're canceled. Great.
Big deal. I'll just make a new company again. I'll be like Michael Scott, baby. I'll just make another company and another company and another company, and every time you try to shut me down, I'll make a new one. I do not care. I will not back down. I'll just make a new company and start again. But I think that's something that like that people should do who end up getting canceled by these like cancel idiots or like these social justice warriors or whatever it is behind the keyboard who don't actually do anything or don't actually do any real change. They just like spout off their insecurities on the internet and they like try to take down people who like are totally innocent in the process. So I'm not saying that there are people. I'm not saying that everybody's an innocent person that they go after. Like every once in a while, they do get somebody who legitimately deserves to be like to be held accountable for a bunch of bad crap that they did. But
Yeah.
most of the time, it's like something stupid, or it's like somebody who they just don't agree with something they said. And like, of course, they take it out of context and they do this thing. I think in that event where they're totally wrong and they try to ruin somebody's life just because they don't like them, I think that person should just take a page out of Jay and Silent Bob's book and just fly halfway across the country, find out where these people live, and just beat the crap out of them.
Punch them in the face.
Yeah. I think if that happened, less people would lie and make stuff up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the problem with the internet, is that you could just say whatever you want to somebody and they're never going to see your face, you know?
Yeah.
If you said some of the stuff people say on the internet, you get friggin' a slap in the mouth. So
yeah,
that's the problem.
I mean, it'd be interesting if at one point, like, there is a law put in place where like you can sue someone on social media who like did some kind of like defamation.
Yeah.
Or like slander.
Well, I don't know. It could be a slippery slope on that, though.
It could be, but I mean, it's going to be somebody with money as lawyers versus somebody at home who lives in their mom's basement.
Yeah.
So, I think they got a shot.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that, you know, when it's like unjustified, and then the people that are rich are winning just because they have good lawyers, you know.
Well, there's that too. So I mean, that lends itself to a whole slew of problems. So
right.
I don't know. God, why couldn't we have just gotten the 2015 and Back to the Future? Then all lawyers would be abolished, and then we'd be fine. You know, except Larry and Steve, who are really great guys.
Yeah.
Their law practices would be A-okay, and nothing bad would happen to them because
they'd be the only lawyers left in
because they're
the
stand-up
2015
people
of Back to the Future too.
They might even be so great that they'd be the lawyers who abolished law, and they'd just go off to their islands. I don't know if they own islands, but I'm sure if they wanted to, they could buy them. Anyway, so I wanted to say, before I went on my own tangent, that Jay and Silent Bob have just had a huge impact on just not just how stoners are portrayed in movies, which since those movies, I think they've kind of set the new gold standard as to how stoners are portrayed in movies. I've noticed that that like actors end up going towards more of a Jay and Silent Bob approach of just like keeping it real, versus versus Spicoli approach, which it had to happen anyway. It was a sign of the times, and that like Jay and Silent Bob are just overall more believable because that's how it's realistic. That's how they are. And just they've impacted so many facets of pop culture to the point where, like, I mean, I never really got into Degrassi. I know a lot of people did, especially in like people that I went to high school with loved Degrassi. I never got into it.
I never watched it.
I think Stephanie watched it. I think when my girlfriend Stephanie watched it, and I think I think my sister watched it too.
Mm-hmm.
For a bit, and I know that's where Drake is where like he like first did stuff on what he was in Degrassi, and that's kind of where he took his break. I think he was the kid in the wheelchair. I'm not sure.
Drake.
yeah, he was on there. But Jay and Silent Bob were on an episode of Degrassi, and like that transcends the Askewniverse, or does it?
Right.
Like you could now say that. You could say Degrassi is part of the Askewniverse, and I don't think people would argue with you based on that one episode.
Or maybe Jay and Silent Bob are just like interdimensional beings that can appear in all these different timelines.
I mean, it's plausible.
Yeah, like how there's the theory of like how Stan Lee in the Marvel movies is actually was it the Watcher? Yeah. Because he's like in every single Marvel movie, even the ones that aren't the MCU, like the Sony ones and the Fox ones. So it's like
also,
he's.
Well, I mean, there's like a in one of the movies he has like a cameo where he's talking, where like he's in space and he's talking to the Watchers.
Oh yeah.
So it holds water.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could be interdimensional beings that are just disguised as drug dealers. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's that song, "What If God Was One of Us," and, you know, he beat slobs like one of us, etc. And, well, there they are.
Yep.
Could be. I don't know. So RJ and Silent Bob gods, it's plausible.
And on that note, we'll leave all you people out there with that question.
Yes.
Are Jay and Silent Bob interdimensional beings or gods?
Who knows?
Who knows? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you think.
Absolutely. Find us on YouTube, patreon.com. Find us on YouTube at the channel Why Does This Exist? Like, comment, subscribe. Hit that stupid bell that nobody likes, so that everybody knows, so that you know when we have a show. Patreon.com/whydoesthisexist for bonus content, as well as getting to pick your own show that we can do and topic. Let us know if we're good, bad, suck, or if there's another weird thing in pop culture that that you would like to see us talk about at whydoesthisexistshow@gmail.com. Find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Let me scroll down a minute. Okay. Pandora, Amazon Music, Audible, TuneIn, Alexa, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Listen Notes, and anywhere else where you can get your podcasts in audio, in digital audio device land or digital media device land. This has been Why Does This Exist? I've been Chris.
And I've been Rob.
And thank you very much for all this. Do not forget, question everything.
Good night, everybody.